In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. My next challenge is to write a book and have someone like it. I'm currently doing this challenge up here of learning how to play bridge, and I've realized that a lot of me learning it is my own mental stuff. It's not going to make it into the video. I want to make a video about my mental process for doing something. So it's going to be writing a book. I'm going to hopefully show you how this story develops in my head and on paper. So where to begin with the thoughts? I recently finished reading The Legendary Moonlight Sculptor. It's a series of 58 books, and the main character is playing a video game. And that's what the book's about. It's like from his perspective as he's playing a virtual reality video game. I've never read a book like that before. It's apparently a whole genre of books, and it was super fun. I'm going to use that as my inspiration. I've never read anything else in that genre. I'm not going to read it before attempting to write it, which is not usually recommended, but I need to do it that way. Otherwise, I get too excited reading other people's books. I'll lose my own motivation to write my own. So we're going to write a book, and I'm going to try to keep the motivation constant at a low burn rather than burn out, how I've done most of mine. So I started by reading a book titled Superstructure by James Bell, and it's a book about writing, how you should structure your book, essentially. There's 14 different scenes that he says you should have in your book, that all good books have this, all of his have it. It doesn't make a generic story, it just makes a good story. It's a good structure to have. So as I was reading the book, I wrote down the scene, read his example of what the scene's supposed to do to the reader, do to the story, and sort of developed an idea for the story as I went there. I typed it up so that you can read it here. Okay, I have edited out the title of the 14 scenes. You're going to have to buy the book if you want to know that. Anyway, here's the pitch, is that a software developer who works at a company on a game gets stuck inside of his game. So this first situation, start of the book, is main character, we're going to call him Toad for reasons, gets put on a personal improvement plan and gets put into QA, which is like the testing department, rather than the programmers. And then I'll introduce the story as he plays the game, because that's his job, is to play the game. In this scene, he's going to be helping one of the programmers he used to work with on the programmer's job. Like someone reached out for him to help, and he's going to help his friend. In this scene, it's going to talk about how he doesn't actually like the game. I'm thinking it's going to be sort of Zelda Hyrule Warriors type of game, which I personally don't think looks fun at all or enjoy. So it'll be interesting if I can write it in a way that I enjoy while I don't enjoy the game. Anyway, in this scene, he's going to get a bunch of support tickets by someone I called Raven for other reasons. And that's going to be the bad guy in the book, the antagonist. So he's like swamped with work here at this point. Then this big defining event is that there's a system crash and all of the currently logged in users are like locked in and there's all kinds of panic. Then in the next scene, it gets better. Everyone else is able to log out, but he can't. And he also loses his GM status. So now he's just a regular player in the game as opposed to the admin who's got like God mode and super good items and stuff. In this scene, he's going to die in the game and it's going to cause a seizure in real life, which is not supposed to happen. You're not supposed to be linked up to the game that well, but he is for reasons. And he's going to decide to keep playing the game, even though it's potentially causing him bodily injury. he wants to play anyway. Instead of just playing it safe, he's still going to be playing at the risk of dying in the game again, not necessarily in real life. In this scene, he is going to help out a noob, and the book was very specific that it can't just be inconvenient to the main character, but it has to be dangerous for them. So helping a noob is like an integral part of any kind of online game. It's usually not even inconvenient. So I think that'll be a good scene. Here in number 9, Toad exposes that it was Raven who has been messing with him this whole time. That's sort of the main plot of the story. It's not in any of these scenes, interestingly. These are like flavor as opposed to the real substance. Raven gets fired, but he's not gone forever, because now everyone in the game is sort of aligned against him, but in more of a realistic way than Legendary Moonlight Sculptor. That was one person versus the world. This one's not really going to be as unrealistic. Speaking of unrealism, you might ask yourself, is the company really going to let someone play their game when it's causing them bodily harm? That's like a big PR issue, right? And I'm going to have that referenced throughout. I'm going to try to explain it away. Eventually, the reader's going to be like, bruh, this is unrealistic. The company would not let that happen. So the company's not going to let that happen here, and it's almost going to kill him. So super backfired, and you realized he really doesn't have a choice to leave. He was like locked in for reals. Let's see, in the next scene, he's going to talk with the care package, which should have been blacked out. I believe care package is scene number 2. So it's going to be a little callback to that friend that he helped. He's going to talk to him. He's going to get his GM drops that he lost in scene 6. Lots of callbacks in this scene. 12, there'll be this big old war in the game, and something else outside of the game as well. Throughout the story, there'll probably be 2 parallel stories that are happening. Whatever Raven's doing, whatever's going on with the people who are concerned about Toad being stuck in a game, etc. So at the end of it, Raven is either going to die or get put in prison, something that's clear that he's not coming back. And Toad's body's going to die. But in 14, you see that he's still alive inside of the game, which is good. And he decides to keep rocking the game and being really good at it. And I want this to be like an inspiring thing, not like oh, you're dead and now you're stuck in the game. So obviously you're going to keep playing the game because you're dead. There's nothing else you can do. I want it to somehow be like oh, I wish I could die and get stuck in a game and I could play the game forever. We'll see if I get that vibe across. And that's the end of what I have so far. I'm thinking like a 15, 20,000 pages, like half of a book length essentially, because it's sort of an intro of, this is his being born story. I forget what it's called, origin story. If I were to make future books, which I don't plan on doing, but it would be all about him being in the game. All of this would just be the backstory. That's the idea. Like I said, I'm going to let it slow burn in my head. It's already taking up a lot of time in this video. Let's not include this. Slow burn in my head. Yeah. I might read another book about either the 3-arc structure of a book or outlining or something before I go on to the next step, which is really I think it's the next step, is to outline the story. When I've tried writing books before, I used a lot of advice from Brandon Sanderson, where I would come up with a plot, come up with a big problem, your setting, your characters. Here's a way of breaking down characters with this little graph that I don't remember what it stands for. Character arcs, and then I would make an outline. All kinds of stuff like that. I will either go into this as I do it for this story, or I'll do something different. I don't know yet. I'm just going to sort of see how it develops naturally. That slow burn was a little bit too slow because it's been 4 months. But I'm back at it now. I just read The Three-Story Method by Jay Thorne. Took some notes. I will go type them up and we'll review the progress I've made with that book. Time to break down what I got from The Three-Story Method. It asks a question of, is it extraordinary? Is the circumstances of the book extraordinary? And my answer is obviously yes. Someone's stuck inside of a video game. But then it asks the question, is it also extraordinary by genre standards? And again, I've only read one book or 58 books in this genre, so I'm not an expert, but I'm assuming the answer is a definite no, because it's kind of the default. This is what it takes just to get into this genre, and it's an extraordinary genre. So saying no to that means that I need to put something else into the story, which I'll keep in mind and I might bring up. Then you'll remember I came up with this real quick pitch out of the first book. This one wanted me to use this format to write a longer pitch. So I came up with, once upon a time, there was a programmer named Toad. Every day he worked on a game he didn't really like. One day he got stuck inside of it. Because of that, he starts to play it more and gets good. Because of that, he starts modifying the code internally until finally he's fully absorbed into the game. So 2 things about that paragraph. One, I sort of didn't do it right. The point of it, I think, was to flush out the plot more, and I sort of didn't. I used the same plot and just added filler. This is all sort of the same thing. So I definitely need to add more plot. The second is this modifying the code. That was what I tried to come up with to make it more extraordinary. That hadn't been the plan originally. The fact that he was a programmer was just sort of going to affect how he played the game and how he thought about how the game works. He wasn't really going to be doing programming in it because it doesn't work like that. Like the game doesn't have access to SVN, or is he just updating the binary files directly? Like I hadn't gone into that, and now I'm sort of batting it around in my head. Maybe I'll go into that. Then it wanted me to come up with a log line, which is basically breaking this back down into a pitch. I didn't feel like that was necessary. Then it wanted me to go into list out the 12 stages following the hero's journey architecture. I really don't like the hero's journey. I mean, it's fine when you're like a teenager, but after you've read 100 books where you start with the kid and then, oh, the mentor pops in chapter 5, and it just, I don't like it. It's very lazy, I think. Unlike this, where I felt like you could hit these beats in a very different way, the hero's journey is super structured, and it's just not fun. So I skipped that. Because I skipped that, I didn't really get much out of the rest of the book. Like, they wanted me to talk about, oh, these are your characters, but who cares about your characters before you have your plot, right? Another thing they mentioned when they were talking about theme was the golden theme is that we're all the same, which like super struck the wrong chord with me. I think it's a stupid theme. I think it's a stupid idea. So I decided, all right, I'll give my book a theme and it'll be the opposite in that this guy's different. I then realized that in The Legendary Moonlight Sculptor, that could sort of be a theme about the main character of that book. So that wasn't an intentional copy. I might like get into genre stereotypes of, oh, the main character's so different. And I apologize if so, but We Are All the Same is the dumbest theme. Next dumb concept is this, oh, there's only 7 or 12 or whatever different stories, and that everything's just a riff on this classic story type. There's one story of something happens if you wanted to be uselessly generic, and I just wanted to call that out, that I didn't like it at all. One thing I might get used for, I don't know, is this who, what, when, where, why, how, and what they mean. When I do my outlining, every scene is going to ask this question before I start, and it might be useful. So next up is doing an actual outline. I'm not going to read another book on this. I think I'm going to try to YOLO it. I'm going to look back on my last NaNoWriMo attempts and see if I can remember the strategies I used there to fill in this template that I had, because I kind of liked that. It let me think at different levels of detail of the outline and jump down and up levels as I wanted to and sort of freestyle it. So I think that's what I'm going to come up with, and I will let you know when I have done so. As an aside, I strongly recommend taking a bath whenever you need to brainstorm something. Yeah, nothing beats pacing when you need to like stew on a problem, but when you want to come up with something new, take a hot bath. I don't know if it's the heat is relaxing or if it's the sensory deprivation, but one of them, within 2 minutes, I immediately want to get out because I have an idea. Anyway, this time I let it stew or let it marinate even longer. Came up with a lot that I want to say before I write it down. So, the original idea was going to be sort of like Moonlight Sculptor is 58 books all about one character playing the game. That was my idea for like the main series, was this programmer playing the game. This was going to be the intro book before all of those books. So he'd be playing the game in it, but it's like an origin story. That is now changed. Yeah, I think I can say that with confidence that's changed. I'm going to go with this other idea I thought of. So another thing to mention is that I'm okay with artificial intelligence in books. In reality, it's nowhere close to useful, and it won't be for a while, if ever, but I'm fine with it in books. Moonlight Sculptor, for instance, has an AI that's in charge of the game that, yeah. Anyway, here's the idea. By the end of the book, so for the next book, instead of it being him playing the game, it's going to be, he's going to be running the game, essentially. Instead of having developers, there's going to be him inside of the game programming new content for the game. That would be what the main series is about. It's a huge change, but that's what I'm going for. So this origin story is, how did he go from being a programmer to being not an AI because he's a person, but to being, instead of artificial intelligence, an electronic intelligence? How did he become an EI? That's what this book is now going to be about. I'm good with that. Then I tried to plot it, and this is what I've come up with. Start of the book, he's put on the personal improvement plan. A little bit into the book, he meets Raven, who's still a programmer, who's going to be taking on some of his responsibilities. Keep the Raven overloading him with work. Make it look like it's because Raven's grumpy about taking over his responsibilities, but it's actually to distract him because on this night, there's an important production launch where Raven is going to manipulate the build pipeline so that all of the code that he's been writing in white space, which is a programming language using white space, you can't see it. In the comments of the actual code for the game, he's been writing this white space code that executes data out of graphics files. I'll get into all that in the book. I came up with a hacky way to explain it. He's going to execute that, and that's actually going to be how Toad gets trapped in the game. This code that Raven wrote was an artificial intelligence. It was supposed to be, but then here, wherever, Toad gets locked into the game because instead of creating an artificial intelligence, it created this electronic prison for Toad. Somewhere around here, you still find out that Raven's the one that did it, and that's why. All that shenanigans, he gets fired because of it. Toad's still in the game. Somewhere here-ish, Raven's still attacking Toad, sort of. Let's see. right here, Toad figures out that he can manipulate the game, which he shouldn't be able to because that's not logical, but he does. Right about here, you now learn that Raven knew he'd be able to manipulate the game. And it wasn't actually an artificial intelligence, it was exactly what it is. It was like a super user in the game that was going to be powered by human intelligence, and it was just that Raven was trying to be the one powering it. Toads took his spot, and that's why Raven was pissed. He set it up in this. He was faking it that it was artificial intelligence here. He wanted to be the super user so that he could be this and return the game to what he thinks it should be, because both Raven and Toad don't like the actual game. I'll get into some of the backstory of that, how the game was one way, it was bought out by another company, and they changed the approach and made it the stupid Breath of the Wild Hyrule Warrior clone. And yeah, all of that. So there's still some big gaps. There aren't even that many new scenes, but that's the vibe I'm going with. Hope it makes sense. I'm going to get to actually typing some of this before my enthusiasm wears off. Looks like a good book so far, though, right? I might save this picture. You may have seen this news article about a VR headset that kills you if you die in the game. Real life is outpacing my fiction. Also, apparently, this is an homage to Sword Art Online. So this idea has already been done in fiction, which I didn't know, but I'm not surprised about. I'm dealing with that after I write the rough draft. So, it's now December. We just passed NaNoWriMo, also called National Novel Writing Month, also called November. And I did write a book in that month. However, it was not this book. This book I stopped working on about 2 days after my last update 4 months ago. And I've only got like 1,000 words done of the outline, so I need to get back to it. And I'm going to actually get back to it this time. And I'm done. I finished my outline of the story at least. So I've got 3.5 pages of bullet points that are sort of like varying levels of detail. Like if you had to describe a book in one sentence, you could do that. Or after every chapter you read, you describe that chapter in one sentence, you could do that. Or at the page level or the paragraph level. And the way that I'm making this outline is sort of at a mix. When I want to go deep and go to a conversation and say this happened, I'll do that. Or if I want to back it up and just say, you know what, in this chapter, do something like this, I'll do that. It sort of combines outlining and pantsing. And that's what I've got. And I've got every scene all written out, essentially. I'm still not 100% on the ending. It's more or less what I went over before. I think the major difference is I like chilled out on the whole Raven being an evil bad guy. He still does the same things, but it's sort of like he wasn't intentionally trying to cause havoc. And I made the company be more of the bad guy in the scenario. But other than that, is pretty much the same. So now comes the time to turn these 1,500 word outline into significantly more than that. And I've been thinking of how to do that with the video, and I don't really know. Because like the website video that I don't know if it just came out, but it's coming out in a couple of days for me. I found it very hard to show my thought process because my thought process is very not concrete. It's vague. There's a lot of strings. I might say words that are the opposite of what they mean, but that go along in my head. So I didn't know how to communicate that in a video. Plus, just trying to explain it is going to take significantly longer and sort of mess up the process as well, because I can't get that flash of intuition if I'm documenting things. So what I'm going to do is try to do that anyway. Before I start to write, I need to have some things about how the game works. So I'm going to just like brainstorm, freestyle it right now. So far, I've decided that in games there you could have chats where you type a message, but it shows to specific people, like everyone in your guild or everyone in your party or everyone around you or everyone in the entire game. Um, and I've decided I'm going to have things like that in the book, and that's how I'm going to document it. But the actual game mechanics of what's the max level, what's damage going to look like, what are skills going to look like, I'm going to just freeball that right now. And I'll cut out the spots where I'm just going, and instead you'll see my jumping thought process. So my inspiration behind games, I realized I haven't really played that many games, but let's go through the list here. Final Fantasy VII. Skills in this game are called materia, I think, and they're basically gems that you put on your item. So they're not specific to the character. You can trade them out to different characters and level them up. The level's in the gem, not on the character. Maple Story, I played this a lot. In Maple Story, you pick a class for your character, and then you have two paths you can go through for that class. And then your job, which is the path, has a set of skills that you learn. So everyone who's this job knows these skills, and when you get to the next rank, you have like a new set of skills that you can learn. World of Warcraft. I've only played for like an hour, so I actually have no idea how skills work. All I know is that there's always a ton of pictures, but I don't know how they work. The Final Fantasy that has Titus. 10. Has this looking thing where each character you start here and you use your points to grow out a tree. Um, and you can sort of define what skills you want by you pick the path to get to that skill, I think. Path of Exile, I've never played, but I've seen a picture of, and they have a similar idea, except this tree is massive. So maybe it's massive in 10 as well. I don't remember. But the key point here is you're never going to max out the tree. You're picking paths, and maxing it all is not realistic, or so I've heard. And the last one will be Legendary Moonlight Sculptor, which I guess it is a game, so maybe there'd be pictures, but I read the book, and in that, basically you had some skills that were related to your job, but you could also like talk to NPCs and get skills randomly, I think. Essentially, like if you were friends with the NPC, they'd teach you the skill that the NPC knew. Something like that. So skills weren't locked into the character. Anyway, that's sort of like all of the games that I've played or know about. So those are my inspirations. So let's talk level caps. I'm thinking level cap is either 100, but that seems low, or 200. Or 255 is a pretty popular number because of computers. But I like 200, so I'm going to say 200. I don't know what other games are, but that was Maple Stories in a while, so that just sticks with me, I think. I forgot one more. I forgot one game that I've mentioned. No, not Twitch, YouTube. I've mentioned it before, but I might have given the wrong name for it, so I'm going to find out the actual name of the game right now. It's a game that Fionor played. Hyrule Warriors was the game that I said looked really dumb. I don't even know if you have skills in it. But that was another inspiration, but more for gameplay than for skills. Alright, your level cap's going to be 200. You can have HP and MP. No stamina, because that's silly. Your inventory. Basically, the options we got here are uncapped versus capped and fixed size versus a weight being the two different types of caps. So, like, MapleStory has size, so you have 16 slots. Some weapons take up 4 slots based on just their shape. Other ones fit in one. A lot of other games go by weight, so they'd say, oh, this sword is 2 pounds, and you have a 10-pound limit. I don't know. I'm thinking capped. We'll come back and decide on that. Skills. I do want to be able to learn random skills because part of this. Oh, that was an addition. After he has his seizure / dies, his character kind of gets screwed at one point and is always losing HP. So he's going to need to learn a healing skill to be able to take care of himself. So I want the characters to be able to learn any skill they want. And we're going to say not locked into a specific class at the start. You just build a character. You don't start with a mage or a warrior. You just start with a person. And then you get jobs, I guess, is the usual way. Yeah, I'm going to say that jobs aren't even a thing, actually. So, like, if you want to make an archer character, then you make a character and you just do all the archery stuff. But I'm not going to make it at all typed. There's no, like, archer equipment. As in, it's not going to be a field anywhere that says, oh, this is for archers. Obviously, a bow is for archers, but you're not going to need to qualify to equip it. Maybe this isn't brainstorming. If I'm just picking the obvious generic answer that it's going to look like every other game, right? Just looking at this for inspiration to see if there's anything I hated that stuck out. Apparently you can ride a fish in that part. The game is going to look like this with a 3D map, I guess is what they call it, and just monsters chilling that stupidly wait for you to run up to them and then they attack you. That's the part that Toad's going to hate because I hate it. Also, as an aside, the main character is not a complete self-insert. It's not even mainly a self-insert. He doesn't like this game and is a programmer. Both self-inserts. But a lot of the other things, not really, even if they might look like it. Ooh, okay, quests. So one big thing is I want the quest system to actually be good. Not have a lot of the stupid stuff that you see in a lot of games. Like, oh, this person has a quest to go kill 10 of these monsters, but so does someone else, and like it's efficient if you do them all at once, but you have a cap, you can only do so many one time, so if you pick the wrong ones, you like, that nonsense is just, oh, it's nonsense. So we're not going to do that. And I was also thinking of a nice skip quest system where if there's a whole quest chain, but you just go and you beat the boss at the end of the chain, it gives you credit for completing the whole chain. Is an idea that I had that I kind of like because that's what you would do on a second character. Having to redo quests on new characters is like nonsense. Yeah, this is pretty much a fail on brainstorming, right? Because it's just, I already knew the answers apparently, and everyone knew the answers before I even explained it. So I think I'm just gonna start writing. I don't know. I need to write. I did look at this list again of my 12 or 13, 14 different items. Sorry, I didn't black them out. The mounting forces, I took out the whole guilds align against Toad. They're actually for Toad. So all of these are sort of wrong, but I don't feel like fixing it at the moment because I'm a little unsure of the ending anyway. I think I just need to start writing. But I'm intimidated to start writing, so I'm going to think of some way to show it on the video. And I'll be back once I do, and then I'll write. Oh, baby. I just failed to show my brainstorming, and then I said, okay, I'll go think about something and come back. Why not just think about it now? So, instead of going to watch Twitch, I'm going to sit here and come up with an answer to this problem. So writing it, I need to just be in the zone and write and think about it and obsess on it. And I can't explain that process because there's going to be vague concepts in my head floating around that I keep track of. But as soon as I start describing them, it's sort of, they lose their shape. So I need to be in the zone as I write. So I could do just like fake record me typing as the text comes down, maybe overlay with this picture to show my intense thoughts as I type it up. That's one option. I could write and then at the end of the day be like, here's my favorite part, and give you a sneak peek quote, or here's one sentence that summarizes everything I wrote today, or my favorite line. It also depends on how long the video is going to be, but I started literally 10 months ago was the first time I recorded a video, so I don't remember how long it is. I haven't started editing it, so I don't know how long into the video this is or how much is left. So I kind of don't want to make it too short or too long or record stuff I'm not going to use because that's a waste of time. Whatever I do can't hinder me because I really need to get this done. We're halfway through January and I wanted to ideally have it done in January. I could do some kind of review, like end of day review, but I don't want to limit myself. I don't want to have to show you what I did in a day because some days will be bigger than others and I don't want to have to explain that over and over again. Maybe every 1,000 words I give a summary so you can read the fresh new words as I explain it. I don't know. How long was that? Did I say it was going to be again? I don't remember. A regular book's 50. I was thinking this is a short one. Can do 20. Even 20 sounds like a lot. But it also doesn't seem like a lot because this is already 1,000. So turning each of these words into 20 words isn't really that big of a deal. 20 updates seems like a lot though. But an update every 5,000 does not seem like a lot. Because there might only be... I don't want to have to update too often, but I also need to force myself to give an update before I change something, because I can't think of a change and be like, oh, I'll do this. And then after the fact be like, oh, and then I said, oh, I'll do this. I'd much rather think of the change and then do the thing, but I can't do the thing if I'm doing the thing because my head's in that place, not this place, and the thing just won't work right. I'm also probably not going to write it all in line. Like when I get to a hard part and I'm having a rough day, I might just go, you know what, this scene's fun. Let me write this scene. So that's something. I decided to name one of the characters Callie, but then I spelled it wrong. So shout out to Callie. Or Haley. Oh, I changed it to a K. So it wasn't supposed to be an obvious shout out. That was Haley, not Callie. Sorry, I forgot her name. I just saw Haley's comment. I also did add some Twitch to it as well. I thought that would be fun. Is that some of the he's gonna meet a guild of people who have a shared Twitch account. So like the guild's Twitch account will always be running on some character. I thought that'd be a nice little shout out because I'm spending more and more of my time on Twitch every day. Anyway, I don't know. I'm just going to wing it. This was a failed brainstorming session, but I've only been sitting here for 10 minutes. Might think of something when I take a shower tonight. All right, I lied. Before I start, I wanted to show you something I did in 2014 when I attempted NaNoWriMo. So this was my outline, and it was literally like as detailed as I could be, but it was just one sentence description of like paragraphs or multiple sentences per paragraph, but written as an outline, not as the actual thing. So like this was my Act 1, and it is 3,000 words just in the outline, and then the actual writing of it turned into 15,000 words. So this was the book that I started writing, and I got 56 pages done of it until something happened that made me want to stop. And I was just trying to decide, do I really want to write it to this much detail? And I think the answer is no. I want to leave it how it is and just try to start writing actual words, not descriptions. But if that doesn't work, I will go back to this because this definitely worked. I would, whenever I didn't feel like actually writing dialogue and like actual writing, I would just go back to my outline and flesh out my outline more. Like as you see down later, it's not. Oh, I didn't even finish the book here. So that's the way I did it before, but it's not the way I'm gonna do it now. I know I didn't zoom in, but that's because I didn't want to spoil the book. But also named Toad, that's just my thing. And it's a book about magic. Anyway, this book is a book about a game, so completely unrelated. Like usual, this update is several months after the last one. However, this time I've written some of the story. Here's this document. Everything that's in color is part of the bullet points, and then the not colored words are the story that I wrote around the bullet points. Obviously it got up to here. The last line of code, or the last line of words that I've written are Toad player spawned in town. That's right, he's logged in for the first time. Yeah, it's like 7,000 words of story, I think, which is more than I was expecting before I got to that point. But it is what it is. I'm done 8 out of the 56 bullets. It's more or less along with the outline, but kind of, I don't know. I varied from it a lot more than I thought I would. Like here, this bullet point's one line, and I came up with 3 paragraphs for it. Then, where's a better example? This bullet point was one line, and it's got 5 pages that are not related to it. I changed that scene completely. So, I mean, it is what it is. The narrator's tone has changed a lot throughout it as I was writing it, which I don't like, but I can fix that in editing. I don't like a lot of it, honestly, when I reread what I wrote, but hopefully once I get the full story down, I can edit it and turn it into something good? Question mark. One last change I want to do is I want to change it to look like this. No, like this. And then I'm going to up the font so that it's easily readable. Maybe smaller than that. Because this looks more like how a book would look on my Kindle. And that gives you a better reference for like, is this paragraph too long? It's still probably too big of a font. Because you don't want a paragraph that's a full page, but it's hard to tell when it's a normal sized text document. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to commit to writing every single day. And hopefully soon, all the rest of this yellow will have a lot of words in between. Yeah, that's it. I don't know. I'm going to think of the next update. It's going to be after I do something, not before. So, I'll see you then. Oh, hello. It is November of 2023, National Novel Writing Month. I don't know when my last update was. Let's see. Date last modified of the story is 6/16. So, haven't touched it since June. I thought about it a lot, but haven't gotten any writing down. I'm at 13,000 words, Hopefully that's more than my last update. I've been reading a lot of comics lately. And since it's a comic, it comes with a picture. So it's very low on descriptors because you can read it. So it's a lot short, quicker lines. And I'm going to try writing more like that here. Maybe more than this. One sentence, the thing happened, this thing happened, this thing happened, but hopefully less wordy than this, which hopefully makes it come out quicker. We'll see. I still have so much to do, and I need to do it. So, man, I thought he was about to die. Yo, I did finish the Wobbly Wally fight. Ish. There's some gaps here, but alright, sweet. That's the goal for tonight, is to finish this Wobbly Wally fight. I thought I was at the start of it, not at the end. Good. Good, 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 good. The good news is I finished the Wobbly Wally fight. The better news is I finished a book. The bad news is that it was another Adventure of Redman book and not the one that this challenge is about. That makes 2 books I've completed while attempting to complete this book, which I'm getting back to work on right now. It is time for another one of those updates where I say it's been many months. It's currently May of 2024. I went through a long period of not doing any writing. I then did some writing. I then fell off the wagon. I'm now trying an update in the hope that it will inspire me. The difference this time is that instead of just a Word doc, yesterday I found this website. Someone raided into a streamer that was writing on stream using this. It basically gamifies writing. So you battle monsters by typing, and then you get like experience, and there's a quest line, and it's a whole thing with a streak, which it didn't count yesterday because I only got 200, which like rude. I don't know if I can get 444, but maybe gamifying it is what I needed. Plus, I kind of like that I'm playing a game about writing, and in that game, I write about a programmer who is playing a game and he writes code. There's like a lot of the same word over and over again there, right? So I don't know how it'll go, but what I do know right here is that yesterday I finished this scene. So now that gets there. Let's fix the formatting. And I'm going to try playing that game from now on. We'll see. Why are these all yellow? So that's another scene down. I still have a ways to go. There's one difficulty in that... Oh, actually... I'll fix this later. This last scene, I never finished because it was like jank. And then the next one, I need to fix this before I fix that. So I got a little of re-architecting to do right now. But then I'm hoping that all these scenes I can just like bang, 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 kill some monsters, have fun with it. I did notice that they very sneakily are giving you a free trial, whereas, see, subscription, 24 days. That's a good length of time, I guess. I'm not a fan at all of month-long subscriptions, so the odds of me signing up for life, incredibly low. A year, incredibly low. But if it does get the writing done, maybe I'll do another month. We'll see, however long it takes to finish the book. Anyway, that's my update. Now, to fix this and then go play some games. Well, time for another update, and I am happy to announce that I have got a 7-day streak of writing 444 words. Are you impressed? Will the level that you're impressed change when I tell you that you can click this fix button, click the day, fix, And ta-da! Now I'm on an 8-day streak. Didn't even have to write any words that day to do it. Will your level of being impressed go back up when I tell you that that was the first time that I actually did that? The other 7 days were all of writing, and I've written 16,000 words. Compared to the document a week ago, was it 14,000? It's a little bit different because this is a gross number, not net. So if I go through and add up all of these writings, I'm sure it's less than 16,000, but it's probably not too much less. And I'm honestly getting pretty close to the end of the book. Yesterday I wrote 4,000 words. The day before I did 3,000. One problem I'm running into is I'm running out of level 2 concepts, which is bizarre to me. So you got level 1 that's like all the highlighted bullet points. It just tells you at a very high level what happens, right? And then level 2 is sort of like if you were to watch a movie that was muted with no subtitles, so no sound, and like played fast forward. Not crazy fast, but like more than 2 times speed. So you get like a general sense of what happened. And then level 3 is a book. You sort of need that level 2 before you can write the level 3. Otherwise, level 3 doesn't line up with level 1 because you skip too much. So the website's great at letting you write the 3. It's so good that it's outpacing my thoughts on level 2, which is just surprising to me because level 2 is what my brain's all about. I love thinking at that level of detail where it's you have a vision and you're just defining that vision, but you don't have to get into the nitty-gritty details of it. And I'm writing the other words too quick. I can't keep up with it. Like this one right here, he's got to train and grind in a map for a while. And before I can write that, I need to define like what are the monsters like, what's their attack pattern, what's the map look like, what does grinding in that map look like? Like are people on different platforms, are they rushing together? All of that kind of stuff. You have to have a sense of it before you can write the words. And I just don't have the time to think of that because there'll be a monster that says you need to type, so I'll type and so I skipped that one and I went to other things, but I'm running out of things I could skip. I'm getting close to the end of the story. Things are hype. And I still have 37 days of subscription left because, did I mention that? I went back on Twitch to find the person who I found this website from and realized that they're actually staff on the website. But I gave them my referral, or I used their referral code anyway. And then they sent me a gift of 44 crystals, which is what you use to buy subscription. So that's another month that's not even on here. As well as they had a code for 15 free days. So that's cool. This will definitely last long enough for me to finish my book. And the one downside is all of the quests that they give you. I'm spending a lot of time thinking and like trying to optimize my battles and overthinking this because it doesn't matter. I'm not doing this long term. All of the quests are useless essentially, but I can't not optimize them. So this has basically taken over my life for the last week. I've done very few things other than this. I'm not reading, I'm not watching Twitch really, I'm not taking baths, I'm not watching running videos, which are all of the things that I usually do for 10 hours a day. So it's kind of a bummer that I wasn't able to find a sustainable way to write, but at least I got it done, or I'm getting it done. It will be done soon. Toad's world went black. The end. Spoilers, he dead. That was the last scene in the book, and I'm done writing it. I'm not, however, done in that no one could really read it in the state that it's in now. Intentionally, because there's just some things I left blank. Such as, I don't enjoy naming things, and I struggle over it a lot because I want the names to be perfect. So no one or nothing in the book is named. All the characters, the monsters, the maps, the skills, all just have like X's or some placeholder that makes me know what I want to do, and I can be consistent throughout scenes, but it doesn't have actual names. So I need to come up with a whole bunch of names and then assign them. That's probably the biggest one. There's some other things like standardize the tightness. That's like how in depth the narrator, or how like precise the narrator is. Am I explaining everything in the room that you see, or do I just say the person went in the room? Like how detailed, how concise, all that, I don't know. Tightness is the word I came up with. That's all over the place depending on my mood when I was writing, so I need to standardize that. Um, and then other things that are less important, but things I definitely want, like all right, well, and so. I get in the habit of I'll pick one of them, like so, and then every sentence will start with the word so, regardless of character, for that whole scene, just because it just feels right. So I need to go through there and make sure all the voices are unique. I'm a big believer in you shouldn't need blank said. You should just be able to tell from dialogue who said it, based on one, the context, but also the phrasing should be unique to a character because it is to people. Anyway, a couple of these things I gotta take care of. We are looking at 21,000 words on For the Words. The story's around 30K total, which is cool. It's lower than the 50K. It's I don't know. I don't know if I want to say standard, but the common recommendation, guideline, rule of thumb is 50K words. But mine was always planning on being shorter than that, so I'm not that concerned. And we'll see what it looks like after editing. Today I'm doing my free streak freeze, I think. Because I don't have the inspiration for the names. How will I get inspiration to come up with tons of names? Let me tell you, because I already know. Cut clip. So not only do I need names for my main characters, but since it's a game that a bunch of people play, there's going to be a bunch of like random characters that show up in chat spam essentially. And I figured to come up with these names, why don't I use some inspiration? So I'm at the graveyard with a notebook and I'm gonna write down last names that I see essentially. So we got Miller, Rodmick is a weird word, Burnham. I'm just gonna use these names, write them all down, and then sort of come up with nicknames, or yeah, nicknames essentially, and play off of the actual names. So Cotterman, if you were wondering where the super famous archer from my series, Cotterman 303, came from, it was that tombstone right there. Except now I won't use that, obviously, because I can't. Because then you'd know. Dude, another Burnham. Any of the villains of the story will not be based on people I see, because that would be rude. They'll be completely freestyled. That's the idea. For skill names, I'm going to go look at MapleStory and WoW and see what they named their things, and then come up with like a theme for mine. And for towns, I think I gotta go look at a map of Spain and just pull out actual town names from that and then alter them a bit, but that's the plan for all the names. I am on a 43-day streak, which means a lot more time has passed. Unfortunately, I'm only halfway through chapter 3 as far as editing goes, which is a problem. And also, unfortunately, my subscription runs out in 1 day. But, fortunately, I have enough crystals to buy another month of subscription. Done. Double, fortunately, come August 1st, they're going to change and have a free plan, which has a limited number of battles per day, but that's a much higher number than 0. Also, I'm finding it really hard to edit with the battles, so it really doesn't matter. All I kind of need is the ability to edit things, which kind of defeats the purpose of the website, but anyway, I think it's a great idea to have a free plan. I thought it was kind of ridiculous that they didn't. It'd be like if chess.com didn't let you play for free. I don't have a chess.com subscription because paying for things that is mentally difficult to do is like a strange concept to me. I'm not trying to pay to be stressed. I pay to have fun. Anyway, editing is going well now that I'm actually doing it, which I just started a couple days ago. I'm really liking the what I read as I reread it, which is cool. I'm not having to actually change that much. It's mostly just adding in words like getting rid of Toad and adding in Bill. Shout out to Bill. All right, 3 months later. Welcome to November. The book is not going to be done this month. I successfully did what Stephen King recommended in On Writing, his book, which was leave your draft and do something else so that you don't think about it at all. And it's not like so your subconscious can mull on it. It may be like your subconscious can, but you sort of want it to be new when you come back to it. So I've forgotten it. It's going to be new. It's going to be sweet. But unfortunately, I need to postpone it because I have to write another book before that. So, like I think I mentioned, For the Words is now free. However, there's limits. Like you can only create 10 files. I have 30. So for his book, I'm just going to use this, references. I'm just going to erase it all. And this will allow me to use it. I don't plan on using this for the edit. So probably won't be using this website again in this video. But a recap was I enjoyed writing the book in it. I have no comment on the changes and now what a free account entails. I might find those out when I'm writing Redman, but I don't even know what they are at the moment. Not interested anymore. What I am interested in is the intro to my next challenge, so let's go. My next challenge is to write a book. It is November 27th, so kind of at the tail end of November here, but my nephew's birthday is coming up and I owe him one Redman book. The book is complete. Not this book, obviously, but the Redman book. If you want a quick preview and you don't want to sit through the movie or the hour-long YouTube video of the creating of it, here is the book in draft form. This was to help organize how the pictures are going to flow with the words on the page. And now I kind of want to do a similar thing with Royal Road. Because with the pictures, how you want your picture on each page according to the flow of the story. Like you don't want to see something exciting on the right page before you read it. Well, sometimes you do, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes you want that to be on the back page. So I had to think about how my page breaks would line up with the text and the pictures to decide if I need to add more pictures or not. And I'm going to need to do something similar when I post it to Royal Road. Because when I was writing it, the first half, before I found For the Words, I was just writing. And then I started breaking it up into all these different chapters. I think there's 26 chapters. And I mean, you go from a low of probably 500 or less to one I just saw was 3,000 words. Obviously, I'm not going to post them this way on Royal Road. So I did some research into how you write on Royal Road, what your story should really be. I decided that when I start posting, they're going to be 1,500 to 2,000 word chapters, and I'm going to post one every day, 7 days a week, until I get the whole book out. And The internet has assured me that that is the best way to do it to get someone interested in reading it. So, Royal Road, so far, I've gotten 3 achievements. That's right, I got my 3-year badge, 3rd anniversary, because it's been 3 years since I started this challenge. And obviously, still have nothing posted, but that's going to change because it's time to start editing. I edited the first 3 chapters on For the Words before I took the last break, and I didn't really like it. I found it very frustrating. Um, Not just because I know this isn't the final format, and also because I know the story is going to have to change. So, what I've decided to do is just stop using For the Words from now on. I'm going to go back to a Word doc now that I've got the whole story in one doc. I might even stop reading it in this. No, I'll probably leave it in this view. And just going to edit. I think from my notes, there was one scene I have to add and one scene I have to shift. And otherwise, it's a lot of name changing and then some tone smoothing, I believe. But the moment we've all been waiting for, when I changed Toad into apparently Bill, shout out to Bill. I decided you get to be the main character. I didn't remember that, but 547 times. Bam, easy. Um, yeah, that's what's up next is to do all of the editing. I'm not sure how to do it as far as I mean it's going to take a while to do 30,000 words, right? Do I do it from the start and go down or do I pick random chapters? If I don't do it from the start and go down, um, how do I mark what I've done and what I haven't done? How do I remember where things are for when I need to move something around in the story? I'm not sure exactly how to do that. I've never had to do that with such a big story before, but that's okay. We can learn. Let's start by getting rid of this and getting rid of this and saying chapter 1. And pick a nice looking font because I'm going to be staring at this for a while. Bummer. I just stopped the timer. Um, all of my live split controls are on the number keypad, and I guess whatever I just did was number 4, maybe. So that's the second time I messed up the timer. I think it's been about 3.5 hours, and I'm 1 sentence away, so hold on. Okay. I hate that sentence, but I will either forget that I hate it or I will change it when I'm posting this. How big is chapter 7 here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Kind of a big chapter compared to the rest of them, but probably fine. Maybe 2,300 words? 2,301. I am pretty darn good at this writing stuff. Alright, so that's page 66. I started with 18. I'm at 66. That means I did almost 50 in almost 4 hours, which is good. Before it was still looking like an hour for 10 pages. And almost a third of the way done. Over a third of the way done. It didn't look like it, but cool. I'm going to stop recording now, and I'm going to keep typing. I want to get 5 hours today, and then some hours tomorrow, because we need to get this done. Now I'm going to record the part that you just heard. So I'm sorry for the continuity break, but when I first recorded this, I had my microphone turned off. Welcome to several months since I last looked at my book. I left it deciding I'm going to edit 10 pages per day, and I'm going to do it every day. And I got done, drum roll, 18 pages, aka 2 days worth of work. It was all the green. And now, continuity-wise, I'm getting confused again. So now, my goal is to start this timer, which I'm going to accidentally pause and restart several times, and type for the next 3 to 5 hours, or not type, but edit, and hopefully get a lot done. All of the pink is edited today, as you will see in this video, as I now show you what happened 4 hours ago. 6-7, they shouted. And with a flash of lightning, they disappeared too. I still haven't read any isekai books, but I appear to be writing one. It's Redman time, so I'm knocking out another quick Redman book. It's at 2,500 words, and I've barely started, so don't know how long this one will be, but after it, I'm going to get back to editing that other book. Today, my 10-day streak will die because I'm done with the Redman book and I'm back to editing this bad boy. Let's see, I haven't touched it in 5 months, and we are on page 90 out of 196. So, time to get back to it. What is Toad up to? Ooh, his first grinding session with the boys. Okay. I remember this. Alright, I am back in my blanket, back to editing. It's only a couple days later, and I have edited 20 more pages. And the best news is that yesterday I got laid off from my job. So today I have a lot more time to edit. So let's see what we can get done. That is 12 pages in an hour and a half, which is like 10 minutes per page. And a page is like less than 200 words, 600 minutes. This is not 3 minutes per word, but something like that. 3 seconds per word. I don't know how the math works. That was a tricky part to do, though, the whole battle, because of the motivations behind the characters, which one was which. There were like 6 people involved. It was a little confusing. Now we got easy breezy stuff in front of us. I think I'm going to go take a break and not record myself, though, but you can just trust me that I'm going to keep working, right? You have this trust? On page 121, drums. Another day, another dollar. I am still editing and having a lot of fun with it. And also, I'm super curious what this means. This yellow just means it's been edited. These bullet points that are colored, I know that red, well, the bullet points were my high-level outline for before I wrote it. And I know that red means this is not what happened in the scene, that I differed from the outline and decided to do something else. But I also have 2 different kinds of blue and purple, and I'm super curious to see if there was some type of rhyme or reason to these colorings. Hopefully I said it earlier and you've already know, but at the moment it's been long enough that I have no idea what the different colors mean. Anyway, that's just a fun fact for you. I am deleting these as I go, and we are making so much progress. When the sword hit it, the dragon exploded. Dun dun dun. Ari stood up and rushed out of his cubicle with good news to share. The end, again, for now. I have now finished the first pass of editing of the book. We've got 206 pages. All of this is not necessary. These are just notes, and I have them in a Notepad++ document over here, much more detailed. What's next as far as the book goes? Well, I need to do one more complete pass because there's a couple things that I changed. I messed up some people's genders. I changed how like voice chat versus text chat versus in-person chat is displayed in the game. I need to make sure that I get a second opinion that that's all good to go, and then I'm going to standardize all of that. And I need to split it up into whatever I said, 1,500 word chunks, so that I have the actual chapters that are going to be uploaded to Royal Road. I did put here little chapter comments to me, but this is more for just a scene break where multiple scenes could be in a chapter. It sort of depends on the length. So I'm going to give this a day to settle down and digest, and then immediately jump back into the second pass of editing, which should really only take me as long as it takes to read, maybe a little bit longer. Oh, I also need a bunch of tabs before paragraphs. I stopped doing that, so I gotta add hundreds of tabs, but that's okay. It's pretty easy. It's just a tab button. And then we're going to upload it. I suspect uploading, you know what? It's the very end of NaNoWriMo right now. Maybe I'll start on December 1st, have it uploaded. That might be my goal. And then daily uploads until the book's done. And then the video comes out sometime after that. Hopefully. All right. We're getting down to the final steps here. let's do one more final edit through the whole book. I know that I'm 2 months away from 4 years on this challenge, but how much time did I really spend? That's questionable because I didn't keep track. I think this edit will go quick, and I'm actually going to start a timer. I'm not going to finish it today, but we'll try to keep track of the time overall and let you know how long the editing process is. Basically, my goal here is to read it all, correct any typos, probably delete 100 or 200 commas. I like to use them excessively. Standardize chat messages. We are going to change ORDV. I'm changing the name of the game to Akina for unspecified reasons. And just do it. So Bill pressed T to cast Eternal Fireball. Perfect first sentence. What should have happened? Discretionary? Is this how you spell this word? It does not appear right. It's discretionary, not discretionary. I do have a slight concern that OpenOffice Writer does not have a spell check. Because, it didn't complain about discretionary. So that's going to be potentially a problem. I have a naming choice problem. I didn't fill in this person one placeholder. And ideally, I would put in the name of the contractor who did the roof. But I don't remember his name. Bummer. Now I need to pick another name. And the big problem with picking a name is you have to decide a gender as well. I am I usually just pick a guy because I'm a guy. But I don't want it to be filled with guys. Let's see, the last one was a guy. This one should be a girl because Peter was just introduced. We'll flip flop. Girl, boy, girl, boy. So, what is a girl name? Let's go with Ariel. Why? Because the boy name is Bry, so we have an A and a B. And we'll just do it alphabetical. Where am I typing? Okay, you might have noticed that I did indeed mess up the timer, which is a little bit of a bummer, but not a problem because I was planning on keeping track of the time manually anyway. I frequently mess up with the timer. Having it triggered on the 0 key is not a great idea in my opinion, and yet that's what I've chosen. This is a big chapter, I think, but it again splits pretty perfectly. 2,000 words. The title of this is going to be The Calm Before the Storm, or Business as Usual. Anyway, I'm going to stop recording this because no way am I going to figure out when I said what. But we are 45 out of 200 pages in, and it's been an hour. So it looks like 4 hours of work to edit it, which is honestly super disappointing because that means 3 hours to read it. And it took me 4 years to write it. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles, I suppose. Okay, when I next see you, this book's going to be done. Alright, the end. I'm not going to say how many hours it took to finish this passive editing because It was again measured in days, not hours, but we are complete. This is 208 pages of Dunzo. I have titled all the chapters, broken up into 17 chapters. There is one remaining thing before I put it on Royal Road, and that is to get the spell check. Their spell check, I don't know how they use it, but it doesn't work. And I'm going to show you that by finding a website where you can do a spell check online. Let's try JSpell. Alright, so let's just start with chapter 1. I already have Firefox, thank you. Check. Whoosh. Okay, it didn't like the word whoosh. Apparently whoosh has 2 H's. So, and then wappened is not a word. So now I need to go back in here and find the matching lines with a whoosh and then wappened. And yeah, this is going to be annoying, but we're going to add this one. When I was, we want to skip that as well. Skip that, skip that, skip that. Okay, that's the end of chapter 1. Let's do the same to chapter 2. One thing that is confusing the spell check a bit is some of them are intentional typos. When I'm doing username's one name, when I'm trying to show somebody's typing this, teleport's not a word. People typo when they type. So if they're in speech, I'm not adding typos, but when it's a text chat log, I'm adding typos based on situation and personality of the person. Apparently, when you do a ... the next letter is supposed to be capitalized. I don't want to, so I haven't been. We're just going to call that a stylistic choice. But all of the other silly typos I have corrected. Let me check that though. Make sure Gustav was spelled the same way in both of those. Rebalance, see, like, is a word. This spell checker's not up to date on modern lingo, if you know what I mean. A tiny roar. Oh, is it roar and not rar? I'm gonna put rar anyway because that's how I spell roar. Yeah, Gustav is the same. Okay, so that's done. Couple more checks. One, I want to check for the word toad, because in edit 2, I did find some. And right here, I found another toad. Interesting. And another one. And another one. Okay, hopefully that's all the toads out of the story. Last but not least, I want to search for greater than signs, because these changed into just regular colons. And the same with less than signs. Okay, I believe the book is completely finished now. Maybe the only exception, okay, let's do an exception right here. When I have these ... dots, let's go no blank lines before and after them. And the chapter, let's do blank line before it and one after. And I'm going to go through and just standardize that real quick. even though it doesn't matter because I'm going to be copying these chapter by chapter into Royal Road. Nobody actually sees this document formatted the way it is here. But yeah, that's just, I said no line for those, right? That's a spoiler because that is the next order of business. Notifications. New achievement. My 3-year anniversary. Nice, nice. Let us add a new fiction. Ooh, a title. They're probably going to want one of those, aren't they? Alright, for the synopsis, I actually want to take a page out of Romeo and Juliet. Two households both alike in dignity. In fair Verona, where we lay our scene, from ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean. From forth the fatal loins of these two foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their life, whose misadventured piteous overthrows do with their death bury their parents' strife. Okay. So basically, I want to do the same concept. Since I'm writing a prequel, I kind of want to spoil the end, because the end is just the start of the actual book. Does that make sense? Makes sense to me. So I want to riff off of this, ambition. Let's skip that. We're going to skip the cover art as well and add some tags. LitRPG for sure. We're going to call it an adventure. I thought it was an adventure. And we'll call it a short story as well, I think. Nope, never mind. Dungeon core is a term I'd seen but never seen the definition. A sentient dungeon or an entity that controls one. I guess the main book would be a dungeon core, but it's like a game core. This is good to know for the future. Maybe I need to throw the term dungeon core into the synopsis up above. Okay, they want the first chapter and the title. Here is the first chapter. I was kind of hoping that... Oh gosh, what is this? Well, did I have formatting? I do have formatting. That kind of looks horrible, doesn't it? Is this how it's actually going to look? This is the worst. I would not read this. It's like a wall of gibberishy text. Do I need to... This looks so much better. I have great concerns about this. Maybe when they review it, they'll let me know and be like, hey, by the way, this looks miserable. Enable clean paste. Let's see if it's any better now that I click that button. Nope. Okay, 400 by 600 for the art. We're going to do that later. I only kept the first 2 lines of Romeo and Juliet. The rest are fine. And we're just going to see what this looks like. This, to me, if this is how it looked, I would not read it. So, we'll see. It's been a while since I actually read Royal Road on the browser. I usually read it on my phone. I mean, that looks also kind of terrible, to be honest. I think it looks way better without the indents at the start of a paragraph, which is super annoying because I went through and I added that. But you know what? Maybe I just search for and replace all tabs to get rid of it. Because this looks better than this. This looks so short. Anyway, we're going to submit this because they're going to look at it for 2 days, so might as well start the ticker early, right? All right. Game is life. You've been submitted. 1 hour later, I notice that I have a notification. This is the same thing. Well, this was useless. Alright, it's the next day, and here's the first hurdle for the challenge. If this notification that I got is Royal Road saying that my book is bad and I should feel bad, then I'm going to quit the challenge. Your submission was approved and is ready for release. Click here to see it. Alright, I am going to update this, obviously. This is all the same. I'm going to fix the formatting for this. Launch? There's really no time. I assumed I would be able to upload all the chapters and schedule each one for, like release. But I don't see that. So, it's a bit of a bummer, to be honest. And, page? Nope. Yeah, I guess I kind of just need to understand how this interface works. And the video will continue. Okay, here we go. Add new chapter. I don't know how I got to this page, but this is what I wanted to see. So we're going to add all the chapters. And then I'm going to, oh great, pre-notes. And then I'm going to delete all of the tabs. And then I'm going to get a better cover. I'm going to do that all right now. Oh, this is highly obnoxious. My tabs turned into spaces when I pasted it. So I have to hit the delete button a lot more often. Also, the lines that I'm pasted in, see how they don't have any, I don't remember what it's called, but like spacing after the paragraph breaks. But if I add in an enter, it does add it, and I think it looks better with it. So it's still the same idea of I'm just got to delete all this, but now I also need to delete and re-enter every line break, which is kind of annoying, to be honest. And the odds of me messing it up are greater than 0, put it that way. But it's fine. Everything is fine. Okay. So there, okay, I do have a date. Great. So, this is today. I'm going to give myself a week and a half to figure out the cover picture. And we're going to start on the week of the 21st. So the 21st will be the first one. And we'll go from there. And at 420, obviously, blaze it. Alright, I discovered a button, use new text editor, which deletes the paragraph lines for me, which is cool. It isn't leaving as many breaks, but that's very convenient. Thank you, Royal Road. I appreciate it. Okay, all of my chapters are in here and pending. Automatically going to become live on my scheduled date. The words, honestly, I'm kind of surprised. They're all, the lowest is probably this one, 1417. The highest is a 3000, but most of them are in the 15 to 2K range, which is good. I kind of think I might have messed up in that I think the book might already be live, because like if you go to my name, it shows it. And it said that I got 19 views on it. So that's kind of not great. I wanted this to be private until I got the cover page. I don't get into the whole like new, like there's a new that you can sort by new to find it. And now people aren't going to find it if now I published it but nothing comes out for 2 months. I don't know. part of this challenge, I was going to talk about how working on Railroad works. I was gonna get the premium thing so I can look at analytics. I was gonna set up a user ad to advertise on other people's page. I'm going on vacation tomorrow though, so I don't know if I'm actually going to accomplish that or not. We shall see. Um, until later. No, I don't want to do any of that. Let's start over. All right, so the book went live on December 9th. It's now the 27th. I'm now on page 111 of the newest fictions. So I'm not really getting more views from there. In that time, I did get a cover art. I turned this concept sketch into the art department, who made this rough sketch and then made this final watercolor, which I uploaded as the title. And then chapters of the book have started going live. Unfortunately, still no likes, but that's how it goes. So as far as views, I broke 137, so probably more views on the book than on this YouTube video. However, the views are kind of pointless in my mind. We still only have 40 views on the first chapter, and then every new chapter gets 10 to 20, which if you're not reading the first chapter, then a view on chapter 7 is useless, right? I don't know. It's possible the same 10 people read all of these, but I kind of doubt it. I kind of think it's all useless. So, what am I going to do? First, I'm going to change the upload times. Instead of 4:20 a.m., I'm going to make it be p.m. Okay, we changed it to 16:20 just like that. Save and schedule. I'll do that for all of these. I am doing one every day, as I think was recommended. I don't remember, to be honest, at this point, but I think that's what I said I would do. Okay, 16:20. Let's just edit these all. Now, next up, author premium, to see if I can get some more statistics than just views per chapter. Clearly, we're just doing 1 month of this, so $6. Alright, premium has been activated. Now, let's see what I have available. Okay, analytics. Ratings useless because I haven't gotten any ratings. General. The page views obviously dropped off after the new releases, and then stay for most of these views come within a half an hour being on the recently updated. This might be useful if I can figure out how to read it. Okay, green line is comments, that's useless. This is just page reads per chapter, also useless. Referrals, 2 people found me from Google. Interesting. And that's it. Let's check retention. One user with an account read chapter 1. 23 users read chapter 1. So, awkward. Oh no, that's actually good. So 12 users read 7 chapters up to chapter 7. So, this update, let me get the... This is kind of what I threw out there as an unlikely scenario, that these 12 were also all of these 12, and not just a new 12, but this is saying that that's actually the case, and the 12 people, I don't know how that's possible if only 11 read chapter 6, but they are saying that people are looking, I guess they haven't followed, but they're looking at their recently read, and when it's updated, they're reading it. So that's interesting. I don't know if I believe it, to be honest. So that's the end of
the stats. Not sure the premium was necessarily worth it at the moment. Alright, the final planned part of this update was going to be advertisements. And I was going to buy an ad that shows on Royal Road for my story. But the cheapest one is $55. And I mean, maybe if I had won like $55 on a scratch card on Christmas, it would be worth it. But I don't really feel like wasting $55, even if it gets me 280,000 views. That doesn't seem worth it at the moment. So instead, we're just going to hope that the change to 4:20 p.m. did it. And leave it there.
Is this going to be super loud? Probably. The good news is that yesterday the book passed 20,000 published words, which makes it eligible for the Rising Stars. I think this is like the best way that books are found, better than newly released or newly updated, because they're good. The bad news is that the book is tied for last place, 64,000th book, and the Rising Stars is only for the top 50. So I don't think it's going to be on there. Bummer.
Alright, I woke up this morning to a exciting development. I got a comment on Chapter 4. Tim never says what this month's challenge is, yet Bill seems to know what to do. So they're questioning the logic of the story, implying that I skipped a bit, which is not the most positive feedback, but they also followed. So, two things. One, I'm going to go inspect and see if I agree with what they said. But two, does a comment and a follow constitute a like? I'm going to say no, only because the comment was constructive criticism, and it's possible that they just followed in order to come back and check to see if it was corrected. And after, when it is, they'll then say, good, unfollow, leave. This is possible. So we're not counting this as a like yet, but we're on the cusp. Also, this looks super interesting, so we're adding this to the read later. And now we'll go look at Chapter 4. Alright, after inspecting this a bit, I agree. I didn't say what the thing would be. Interesting. Let's go back to the Word doc and see if I messed it up somehow, copy and pasting. Alright, well, interestingly enough, it was a random paragraph was missing. Right here. Last month's challenge. I asked that you respect them and treat them as the leader. Arion Bry came to the center of the room. Treat them as a leader. Arion Bry came to the center of the room. This whole paragraph is just missing. So, I mean, I have no idea how that happened, but easy enough to fix it. Okay, so I'm just going to add this in here, and then I will reply to their comment, letting them know. But other than that, we're just back to waiting, I think. So, fixed.
Alright, so the book is out and finished. Yesterday, the final page of the book came out. 32,000 words, only like 120 pages. But, yeah, 119 pages. What do I want to say about it? How has it gone? I don't know. I still have one more release today. Like I said, here's the last page, chapter 17. It says the end. There's a little note here that says it's the end. So theoretically, it's done. But I have one page with the frequently asked questions, even though nobody asked. And at the bottom of that, I do tease some comment engagement to try to get a comment. Because as of now, the only comment that I've gotten was the one that I already posted about and replied to. This person commented on chapter 4. They read up to chapter 6 when they commented this, and they have not returned. So I'm going to say that was accurate, that I didn't count this as a like. But analyzing the rest of the page views, let's see, there's really only 2 analytics pages that are helpful at all as someone without ratings or followers. This is views, which I think a graph like this is to be expected because obviously you want your first chapter to be the most viewed. As people read, some people will leave, so it'll gradually be going down. In the ideal world, it's flat, but that's not realistic. And then for the life of the book, the chart should look like this, because whenever a new reader reads, maybe they start at a random chapter, but then they still want to go back and read everything one time, so it brings everything up by 1, right? So not really that interested with this. Looks normal. Most page views on the last release, which is good, I guess, right? This sort of means that people are going back. You would want this to grow as you're releasing it, because that means they're not just seeing the chapter you read, but they're going back to the beginning and reading more, I would think. I don't know if that's true. I didn't analyze this that much. Anyway, user retention here. I think this is what you would want, is a big bar at the beginning and the end. The beginning one you don't want, but it's realistic. These are people, 20 readers, read chapter 1, and then stopped. You're always going to have people who don't like it, so they read it and continue. But that's only 20 out of, let's see, 74 views. So that means 50 people continued, which you see in chapter 2, 54, and 0 of them stopped there. Everyone who read chapter 2 went on to read chapter 3, which is good. It doesn't actually show that because this went down to 52, but this is what this shows. Unfortunately, that's not the only issue with this. For example, this biggest bar at the end says 24 readers read all 17 chapters. If I look at the views, chapter 16 only had 19 readers. So how did all 24 of them read chapter 16? It's impossible, right? Especially you add in 12 that stopped here, so this should be 36 people read 15 and everything before it. There shouldn't be any that are less than 36, and yet there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, including 15. So these numbers and the charts don't line up, therefore are useless, I would want to say, but I don't know. I do think that people are reading it, and when they see an update, they read the next chapter. I don't think people are seeing it from this latest updates page, because maybe some people, but I'm not really seeing that much growth. It's been like 20 people consistently. I don't know. This has been changed. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Nobody's liked it yet, so that's where we're at. I'm going to wait for today. Hopefully, my bait of saying leave a comment if you want to be in book 2 works, and I get a like. I'll also switch over in the settings, change status, and I'll change it to completed, which should put it on this complete list instead. However, this appears to be rated or ranked by ratings, so it would put me at the bottom of the complete list, which seems, I don't know, to be, I don't know how many people are clicking last. And the fact that it's only 300 pages is a little suspect. But yeah, I mean, no ratings. Maybe I'll be in good company. Yep, I'll be right there with them. 2 followers. They're a little bit better than me, but we'll see. Hopefully that's a big boost. I mean, it hasn't boosted them, but all right. It's been a couple days, and the stats still look the same. In that, let's see, the final chapter of the book got 27 views. The fact at the end is at 19, and I was waiting to see if 8 more of these people who read the whole book wanted to read the last page, and it seems like they don't. I think that they read the book, didn't like it, obviously, because they didn't favorite it or comment it, and then said, I don't need more additional content. I read the book. I'm done. And for the 19 people who read possibly every page, unlikely, but possibly, they apparently didn't like it enough to favorite or comment either. So this is a bummer. Where does that leave me? I could pay $50 for the ad, which then I'd need to make an ad. I'd have to wait for however long it takes for them to run it and possibly get some more views and or likes that way. Or I could reach out to people I know and ask them to give me a pity like my brother, who's possibly one of these ones. Hopefully this one, but could be this one. But are they liking the story, or are they just liking me? It's a hard balance there. I could go to someone I trust to be I don't know the right word, so I'm not even going to think of it. Like Loop Hazard, for example, I could say, hey, do you want to read the book and maybe get this reaction from him?
What the fuck did that even say?
Which is a fair question.
Oh my god, this is unreadable. This is completely unreadable.
So I'm not really looking for that type of review. I was thinking I could also ask Feanor809, but then I remembered that he's illiterate and he can't read, so he's out. So I'm kind of at a loss as to what to do, and I think that disappointingly, even though I put a lot of effort into this and a lot of time, and I didn't really create that many pages, but I did make the book. However, no one likes it, so we're going to have to consider this challenge to be failed, which is a bummer. My next book, I will just write more, I suppose. So, challenge complete, but challenge failed.